My name is Fritz McLinden, and this is The State Between Us, the anti-fascist podcast for dark dives into the antisocial insanity of our ruling class and all their fashy flying monkeys, as well as connecting with all the yous and me's out there organizing against the thems and stocking our historical and analytical armory. The State Between Us is all about mutual aid and building each other up, sharing knowledge, and connecting the disparate voices in our overlapping struggles. If you want in? Check out patreon.com/The State Between Us for more information. But now, for episode 0, please enjoy this little workshop we devised on doing archival research the easy way and learn how to retrieve potentially endangered primary materials from pretty much anywhere. At the end of the episode, I offer a little challenge to the listeners to kick off the first few months of The State Between Us. Details will follow as we get a little further down the line, but whether or not you're a listener of the podcast, I hope you will find this little guide useful. If you are listening to this over a podcast app, keep in mind there is a video accompanying this episode which can be found on patreon.com/The State Between Us, which allows you to follow along as my guest, Keith Allen Dennis, does a few retrievals for us in real time. Speaking of, I think that's him now. I am very grateful to be joined by the inestimable Keith Allen Dennis, whom listeners may recognize not only for the work he did on my former podcast, The Empire Never Ended, on the Mexican fascist group Los Tecos and their, wild and wacky world, but also for the legendary deep dives into the World Anti-Communist League et al. On The Farm, as well as on, what is his name? Ryoichi Sasakawa, yeah? The world's richest fascist on Program to Chill. But apart from being the podcaster's podcaster and a talented musician and songwriter, Keith is also an accomplished archival snoop. And what better way to introduce the state between us than to exploit the absolute shit out of his accumulated wisdom at pulling diamonds from archival coal mines. And why don't you say hi, Keith?
Hi.
There he is.
Thanks for the introduction. Also, we should add professional amateur and hater, curmudgeon.
Amen. All right. So, Keith's going to give us a rundown on how I have to say, shockingly easy it is to pull things from some very impressive and terrifying archives, both in universities, places like the Hoover Institute, and et cetera. And after we let Keith go, I'm going to give it a go myself for y'all just to reinforce how stupid easy it can be. And moreover, at the end of this little tutorial, I'm going to present y'all dear listeners with a little challenge so we can all get some practice in primary source retrieval and what I hope will be a suitable reward for that effort. But first, Keith Allen Dennis, maybe you could give a little explanation as to why it's important to learn this skill right now, and then we can get into the nitty-gritty.
All right. Well, thanks, Fritz. I appreciate very much having me on your new show, and I wish you all the best with it. But to dig into it here, for me, it's just kind of like a bad habit that I picked up in grad school, doing 20th century history, and it is occulted history. The 20th century is the dark century, although we're already giving it a run for its money here in the 21st. But
I think we got on the ropes, Keith.
Yeah. But there was so much paper that was left behind because that was the technology of the past and of the future.
Right. Assuming we got trees, I guess we can use skin if it comes down to it.
Oh, don't go there, man. Anyway, or clay tablets. I mean,
sure.
If we have a nuclear war, it'll be back to the Stone Age. But anyway, you can, if you're trying to really study history and you have a mind to maybe make some contributions to the historical narrative and dialogue that's been out there, then it's one thing to check out already published books and sources and things. It's something else to look into archival sources, where you're out on the edge of what's actually been published and what has not been published as of yet, and that's where you can really find some novelty and make some new contributions to the historical dialogue.
That's right.
I've so I was interested in the World Anti-Communist League and really more broadly the American conservative movement in general, and this was something that made me into like an instant super fan of the Tenepod, because your willingness to treat with the American side of things. My studies about the World Anti-Communist League always circling the drain of the American conservative movement.
Yes.
And various degrees of to the right of center. From the William Buckley's, the National Review, to like the American Mercury side, out to the John Birch Society side, and then way the hell out there, your Liberty Lobby types, and all the different plumage of the right wing, right? So anyway,
all my old faves, Keith, all the favorites.
Yeah. So I got to go to the Hoover Institution as part of a grant in 2017, and was complete amateur, as I am to this day, and learned a lot really quickly about what to do, what not to do, and learned after that, how, like you said, how easy it is to get some of these documents, even from places that you don't even visit. You can do it remotely. I used to work in an academic library during my undergrad days, and I used to fulfill orders off of microfilm and microfiche, especially from researchers around the country, around the world, that were asking for it. So, and now I ask student workers to do the same for me. It's a circle of life thing. So,
well, while you still can as well, we don't know who's getting doged out there. So
that is
get them while you can.
Doing FOIAs, I've done those before too. It's like I'm almost going to say I don't even recommend it anymore. You just, you're going on a list is what somebody told me.
Oh yeah.
You do it. Well, that was in the good old days. I mean, now it's like, oh my God, you might get, I don't know,
fucking
audited.
Deported.
Yeah, or deported.
Get your head shaved in El Salvador.
Back to Texas you go. Yeah. So anyway, you raise a really good point. You don't know how long these documents are going to be accessible. You don't know how long these institutions are going to be open to researchers, or how long student workers and how long these institutions are even going to be staffed with somebody that can actually fill a request.
That's right.
And I've been saying that for years.
Yeah.
And now it feels like a grim sense of vindication, or somehow, like it hasn't. I don't see him shutting down yet, but it feels like you can feel it in the air, like it could happen, right? It becomes, if you're interested in such things, it's imperative to actually get out there and try to secure some of those materials while we can. So that's the background. That's already too long. Let me kind of get into it here. So we talked about just doing a little primer on researching special collections and archives and repositories of documents. A lot of times those are university library special collections, but they are not always to be found in such, not everything you're looking for might be in one of those things. So I want to start with the importance of keyword searches. Yeah, so let's pick a name. We could say Pedro del Valle, or maybe you
Pedro. Yeah, let's do Pedro del Valle. Tenepod fans will probably know that name. There's definitely at least an episode or two back in the archives there. But
and my reading of Kevin Coogan's works, got me really interested in Del Valle's papers, and I have acquired quite a bit of his stuff over the years, mostly by hiring freelance, student workers, but also other ways as well. So anyway, let's just say Pedro del Valle, however you want to say it, and you would just go to Google and type Pedro del Valle Special Collections
Mm.
or Pedro del Valle Archive. Because again, let's say there's a military museum that's got some of his papers because he was a Marine Corps general, right?
Yeah.
And so if you type in Pedro del Valle Special Collections, you're going to find his university holdings. And in this case, it's at the University of Oregon.
Yes.
But like, let's say Douglas MacArthur, to take another example. So we could say Douglas MacArthur Special Collections, and then you're going to find that he has some of his papers are at I think it's Gettysburg University, Gettysburg College. But if you type in, Douglas MacArthur Finding Aid, you might discover that it's not just at Gettysburg College, but also at the MacArthur Memorial Museum, which I think somewhere nearby there, that area.
Maybe you could tell us what a finding aid is, and maybe this is also a good moment to let listeners know that if you're hearing this in audio only, on the State Between Us Patreon page, there will also be visual aids, a video, and some links for everything we're talking about here.
On the Patreon.
Yeah.
So a finding aid is it's a catalog of the holdings under that either subject or that name. So if you look for a finding aid for Douglas MacArthur, you're likely to find at least two, one from Gettysburg College and one from the MacArthur Memorial Museum.
And this will be like a list of the either containers or boxes they have, and then a list of like the topical, usually folders, right? That will have like a particular
And
theme.
a lot of times these are in the form of like a 5 or 6 inch wide, document box that can hold, depending on the thickness of the folders, the contents of the folders, a dozen or more folders could appear in those boxes. And they're categorized typically, box 1, and then folders inside that box, either organized by the name of the contents, or sometimes they have numbers, sometimes they have both. And so this would be an inventory of containers and the contents of those containers. That's a finding aid. It's kind of like your card catalog, old school card catalog, but for, in this case, the MacArthur papers or the Pedro del Valle papers. Right?
Yeah, and without the inscrutable coding system of Dewey.
Right. Yeah. Minimal on the numbers. Usually, a lot of times they'll be organized by, the subject matter that's in there. So, the National Captive Nations Committee, or whatever that the person's either corresponding with people from an organization, and it'll be under that organization's name, or sometimes they've just collected newspapers and propaganda documents and newspaper clippings from an organization. And you never know what's in those folders until you submit a request or show up in person or hire a freelancer to be there, right?
Yeah. I mean, we were practicing this the other day, and I found a folder from the Hamilton Fish III collection just titled Jews. So you never know what's in there. Probably nothing good, but so what's the opposite of Christmas?
It's sometimes the finding aids are embedded, or they're just like a web page that is on a special collections website that you can browse through, and a lot of times they'll have a PDF that you can download of it, or sometimes they'll have both.
Yeah,
I like to get the PDF because you can look at it offline, and also it doesn't have all this JavaScript stuff with collapsible. It's like, just give me the list of everything. Don't make me have to click on a bunch of doodads to see what the information is. Generally, so we do these keyword searches. It's important to, if you're really trying to dig into something, you want to tag special collections or finding aid or archive. The first two are probably the best.
Yes.
Okay, so you find your documents that way, right? Or find the source of those documents. And there's generally 4 ways to get them. Okay, emails to the archive staff, who may or may not charge you a fee. A lot of times, if you're asking for a small amount on an occasional basis.
And very sweetly, let's add.
Yep. Yep, I'll come back to that. That's really important.
Yes.
Sometimes they have they'll have an online platform or a request submittal form that you can use, and you can just do it right there on the web. And then there's hiring a freelance researcher. This is if you really want to do a deep dive on something.
Get a lot of containers, a lot of folders.
Yeah, there we go. So this is the Herbert Hoover Presidential Library. I found the first of all, it's closed
Well,
right now, and that happens from time to time. But the Robert E. Wood papers,
okay. Now we're
right?
talking.
So now we're looking at a finding aid, and a lot of times finding aids will have a bio.
Uh-huh.
This is not the Hoover Institution, by the way. This is
Yeah, the
where is it?
presidential library. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, it's somewhere else. It's like in Iowa, I think,
All
where he
right.
was born. Herbert Hoover, that is.
Yeah.
But yeah. So there's a little bio, and then it'll go on to have subject matter. I want to just point out one thing really quick. Yeah, look at this, man. You want to see something? This gives me the heebies, bro.
Wood's extensive interest and participation in service and cultural organizations are also reflected in his papers. He served as president of the Chicago Boys Clubs of America from 1949 to 1959. He also supported the work of the Boy Scouts, 4-H clubs, and served on the board of the Cradle Society, a private adoption agency. I don't like this man being that close to children. Tell you what.
It's like you can't. It's just irresponsible to speculate, and also it's in a post-Epstein world. Like irresponsible not to. If you see
Yes.
all of those boxes being checked, it's like what? Ooh,
Yeah.
give me the heebie-jeebies.
Yes,
Anyway,
indeed.
so now you've got all of his stuff organized here, right?
Yeah,
And
okay.
so in this case, here's box one, and it's just alphabetical going down the line.
All his correspondences he'd ever had that were collected by the National
Yeah.
Library. Looking for some
And
familiar names
this
here.
guy went quite a long career from the first Red Scare, the whole like protocol pilled kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
on to America First, on to being closely involved with helping get Barry Goldwater and the American conservative movement
Well, thank
going,
you, Bobby.
in the late 50s. Anyway, here's all of his papers with all these different topics, right? H.L. Hunt. There we go.
Okay.
It's a nice long
Deep cut.
period of correspondence there. Anyway, so here's one, for example. This is just an example of what a finding aid looks like. And there'll be just different procedures of how you can do the research. Manuscript collections, right now, the place is closed. So this may or may not be a great source right now, but I just wanted to bring them up because it's interesting.
Well, it says the research room will remain open by appointment. So if they offer, we don't know if they do, but if they offer digitization, then presumably it wouldn't interrupt it too bad.
Right. So this could be one where I have to say I doubt that this one would have a. Here's those boxes I was telling you about.
There we go.
This, I doubt that they have like an online platform for requesting stuff. Kind of like we'll look at in a minute. But here's where we can contact the archivist to ask them. And sometimes, again, if you're asking for a smaller amount of documents and you're not being greedy and you are being nice, you can get some of those things for free.
Yeah.
But I want to keep going. I'm going to go to another one here.
Okay, we're at the University of Arkansas Special Collections.
The University of Arkansas. This is a guy that I've been really mining his stuff for quite a while. It'll time me out sometimes. Yeah.
That's something to note, actually, for the listeners. I was also, doing some homework here, and I was regularly timed out when I would get distracted to go up and, I don't know, make some food or something like that. So come in with a purpose.
So we're looking at the Billy James Hargis collection here. Now, you saw, like, I had to log in. This is a popular platform sometimes that these universities use. This is called Atlas System. Sometimes it'll be called another one called Aon. The Hoover Institution uses that.
And you're going to have to sign up for each. So you don't just sign up once for Atlas or once for Aon. You would sign up to the institution or university that's using Atlas or Aon.
That's correct.
All right.
It doesn't go across different universities, and that's probably for the best, right? Just OPSEC and
yeah, compartmentalization.
You know. Right, and the different universities, they have more or less funding, more or less sophistication, more or less volume, more or less in their archives and their special collections, and so some of them, they don't have a system that you can look online at these things and request them directly off the website. A lot of times you do have to email them.
Yeah.
And ask them, what do you charge for this, and et cetera. And in the case of the University of Arkansas, this Atlas system they have is fairly recent, and it's quite convenient. Now, I'm looking at the Billy James Hargis papers, and I have this old finding aid here that I downloaded years ago before they had the new system. And this is some of the stuff I'm after right here.
All right.
Richard
So we got the
Viggory.
boxes.
You know who Richard Viggory is?
Oh man, you're scratching my brain, but nothing's coming out. Hit me.
Well, good. Then I can do you a favor for once, because you guys, you turned me on to a lot of different people. Viggory was a master public relations guy for the right. He worked for this radio TV preacher, Billy Hargis, early on, but him and Marvin Liebman, all these different PR firms like the Friends of the FBI and the American World Anti-Communist League groups, the Committee for 1 Million, the admission of communist China into the United Nations, stuff like that.
And he's a Texas boy.
Oh yeah. I think he's still alive in Houston. But he later, he had, I think it was Conservative Digest magazine that he founded.
All right.
Which he wound up cashing out by selling it to the Moonies, Freedom Leadership Foundation. So I have, let me come back to this really quick. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to start sharing again, because if you're really doing this a lot, you got to keep it straight. So here's can you see that?
Yeah, I can. It's a thing of beauty.
I just added this morning because I'm going to do these. I'm going to request these right now. But this is like everything I want from the Billy James Hargis collection and where I'm at. And I have, as you can see, just about gotten everything I wanted.
All right.
From them. I think I even have these two. I just haven't updated this, right?
He's got a Northern League connection too.
A what?
Okay. Northern League. I see you got there in box 95.
Yeah, I have some of the stuff from the Northern League. That was some of the first stuff that I got, and it's not really great. I mean, it is great if you just want to see their propaganda that they put out.
If you really love the Northern League, as you know, I do.
Yeah, the various nom de guerre that Roger Pearson used, et cetera. Mm-hmm. But so it's interesting. But the connection there is Pedro del Valle, whatever, Billy Hargis. They're both part of the Defenders of the American Constitution, which is really closely affiliated, overlapping with the Liberty Lobby. So they're all kind of in the same sort of milieu with each other. So why would this Northern League stuff be in this guy's collection? And it's because the Roger Pearson guy was the editor-in-chief of Del Valle's Defenders of the American Constitution task force and other propaganda that they put out, right?
All right.
So what I've never done is circled around to the Richard Viggory stuff. So I'm gonna stop the share, go back to the browser here.
For listeners who don't have access to the video here, when you think about Viggory, you just think about Kurtwood Smith, That 70s Show dad, but then make him eviler.
Yeah. So I found his collection. This is basically the same finding aid I was looking at, but like I was saying, this is just plain text pretty much.
Yeah.
And this one is you can interact with it, right?
Yeah.
Through over here. So I'm going to go forward because I already have these pages here. Let's see what we had. We had box 41, 9, 10, 11. I'm going to go up here. Box 9. Let's see what's in there.
All right.
This blurb underneath it is generic and is repeated over and over again, but it does tell you what the folders, it's got folder titles, which isn't bad.
Yeah. I mean, again, you don't really know what you get till you open them up.
And then these headers are by necessity. There's thousands and thousands of documents here.
Yeah, I see.
So you also don't know what's in the folder until you get it, which is why best practices, I recommend if you're corresponding with one of these institutions, just ask for the entire contents of whatever folder it is.
Right.
You can get some fluff, but it's better than missing something.
So you would write, for instance, in like if this is Atlas, right? In this case,
Yeah,
Atlas. So there's going to be probably a field where there's an option for notes, and in that you would write something like, hey, I'd love it if in any form you can get me the entire contents of these folders. I appreciate it.
right.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I'm going the wrong way, buddy.
So don't think like this stuff's going to be hitting you with it's not like an app. I mean, these things connect you to a human being who's going to take this as a message and then go and do that work for you.
Yes. Yeah. So let's see if there's an option for me to request it here. I mean, I found it.
Mm-hmm. Aeon request. It sends you to the Aeon system. You see it there in the top right corner of the web page.
Yeah. Zoom stuff in the way. Right. Aeon request. Okay. That's what I meant to do. I was trying to get all this set up to minimize the amount of time that it would take.
There
41,
we go.
41 series 2. Okay.
All right. So for listeners, what we're seeing is a title saying containers, and there appears the box, the folder rather, that Keith had already selected. And beneath that, you've got a request information section with several fields.
Right. So I can make notes to myself.
So under special requests and questions, Keith is requesting basic scans. I'll just wait for you to finish, actually.
Box 41, folders 9 and 11 and 11. Freedom Leadership Foundation. Sounds so nice and anodyne.
It does.
That was the Moonies political front from the early 1980s or 70s. And by the 80s, it changed its name to Causa, which I can't remember exactly what that means. But yeah, it's political front. Anyway, I'm going to request photo duplication.
So under request type, you got a couple options there. Schedule an appointment, which I'm assuming, since most of us are, socially inept, we may prefer request photo duplication. Or a lot of us don't live anywhere near these places, myself included. So, this is the way to go for me. And then under order information, there's a format option that Keith is clicking on. And you've got a lot of options there. They tell you the limits you might have or potentially even the cost.
Yeah, and I'm going to just leave some of this stuff blank. There's no asterisk next to it. It's not going to make me. And I'm going to submit that request.
And there's a mark on the bottom that says for publication, and just leave it unclicked if you're not publishing.
I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
Because I'm not planning on necessarily publishing this. Like, in other words, I'm not planning on publishing the image of it.
Right. Yeah.
You can quote from it all day long. You're going to, if you plan like I do to, have some of these things contribute to a manuscript and or a book or a journal article, history kind of thing, I would recommend using Chicago style. That's best practices, history citation guidelines, which you can find online. If you're into that world, you don't need me to mansplain that crap to you. But that's why it's important to keep it like organized on your end so that you can do those citations properly. And you can cite the stuff and quote at length all day long. But a lot of these institutions, if you're going to publish, let's say they have a photo or collection of photos or audio visual, or like if you want to get it and put it on your podcast or something, then they're going to want another level of acknowledgement from you, like they want you to ask them for permission to actually publish the document itself, an image of.
But mostly they're probably, what are they just, they're really just asking for you to properly put the credit in and make sure it's there
Yeah.
when somebody sees that photocopy of the document or video or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want tags and stuff associated with it, I don't know why. I'm just not that cool. Just give me the stuff, you know.
All right. So he selected request photo duplication. Under inclusive pages, we have entire contents. There's a page count field. He just types all.
Access copy. You're just your regular old
Yeah.
whatever.
Photocopy, scanned PDF. Yeah.
So I've just done 2 of these from this one collection. Now you can see them there. FLF, Ravco, that's R.A. Vigory Company. That's what he called it. It was Ravco. Pretty cool name. That's one way to do it. I'm going to show you a different one.
Let me also point out there's a little note there that said the limit of things you can request at a time, meaning like the active orders that are currently out. And Keith's limit there was 10, I believe.
Okay, yeah. So now I'm looking at, I'm not going to go up any higher because it's got all my personal information in it, but I'm on the University of Oregon webpage.
Yeah, the Pedro del Valle collection. Let's go.
That's right. So, here's the Pedro del Valle collection. So here's the Pedro del Valle papers, and we wanted the collection organization, right? You had a name something for me, right?
Well, we were looking at this before, and I saw it jumped out to me, but I believe container 3 contains Pedro del Valle's American Legion related papers.
That would be incoming. Now, let's take a look at this really quick.
Oh,
I know this cannot be the only person for whom their papers are organized this way. What happens is different people they're going to donate their papers to a collection or a university or whatever, right? In Del Valle's case, it was University of Oregon. Don't know why that was the place, but that was the place. And it happened in 1970 when he was getting on in years. Some collections will have, well, here's a folder with, let's say, what is it? The American Nazi Party, the Lincoln Rockwell one.
Yeah.
Right. So they'll say, here's everything we got for the American Nazi Party, George Lincoln Rockwell, and they'll have it in order. Like, here's the letter I got from George. Here's the letter I wrote him back.
Okay.
And telling him, the check is enclosed. I don't really agree with your religious pagan beliefs, but we are fellow patriots who want the best for the United States of America. So here's some of MacArthur's money.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
the slush fund that I have to just set up stay-behinds or whatever in the United States. But in the case of Del Valle, you got to look in 2 different places. He's got outgoing correspondence that is not organized.
Yeah, I see that. It's organized by year.
Dates.
Yeah.
And then you've got the incoming.
Oh, damn. Look at that. Organized by name.
That is, yeah. Here, let me collapse this one so we can get to this. And then down here, you got, what is it, Rockwell? He's down here somewhere. You get the idea, right? Like,
yeah.
Maybe it's up here, American Nazi Party. I don't know. But it's in there. I've got those papers, and it's just hilarious.
Oh, there's American Legion. I see it right there.
American Legion.
All right. So let's get us some Pedro del Valle American Legion shit.
Yeah, let's see. Box 3, mixed materials, repository details. So that looks like.
All right. So under item identification, there's a collection/book title field where we typed Pedro del Valle collection.
Yeah.
And then we got a call number or a collection name underneath it. And so we just typed it again, Pedro del Valle collection.
Right, because this looks like it's kind of generic to different things.
Yeah. So there's a series title and a box folder number field. So under series title, we have incoming correspondence because that's where it was organized on the drop down that we saw.
And American Legion editorial offices. Come on, bro. All right.
And then under item title or number, I don't think we have a number, but we have the title, which was American Legion, and then in parentheses, editorial offices, just as it was written on the collection.
And you can see this looks kind of redundant, but again, this is a catch-all type form for all kinds of different materials. So we're going to put redundant stuff into there, and that's fine.
Right.
Good quality is fine. We're not trying to publish the stuff. No.
All right. So they have options for rush orders. which I guess there is a fee system depending on how you order it and what you order. So in the case of the University of Oregon, they do accommodate rush orders, but we've got under delivery. Now, what that means on this case seems like you might be able to, sweet talk your way into more or less pages.
Right.
They don't tell you. A lot of them will tell you, for the Hoover Institute, for instance, for a free digitization, it's like one folder per request or something like this for free. Otherwise, you pay.
Mm-hmm. And you could, I mean, if you're talking about, there's a thumb drive, $12, right?
Yeah.
But that's for the thumb drive itself.
Interesting.
Then they've got turnaround time, and you might not have much in the way of material to be requested. Like in this case, we're talking about one folder, American Legion. It's probably the kind of thing they could just email to you.
Yeah, right.
And it's really weird that they don't just have their own Dropbox thing. They're like inviting all kinds of people to send them all kinds of links. So I'll probably figure out, maybe I'll put a link to my Google Drive or just type my email.
Well, we need a new Ernie Lazar out there, Keith.
So I'll put in some personal information.
But it says provide the path link to the shared folder and ensure the permissions allow the UO library to post in the folder. So Keith has written an email address and notes that email should be fine for small requests, but also, says tell them if that's not the case. Again, you're talking to a person here, not a robot. And under other relevant information, well, this is where Keith taught me to lay down the sweetness. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. A little bit of humanity here in a dark world can take you a long way.
Kindness and courtesy, it's not a talent you're born with. It's not a skill that you acquire and go to school for or whatever. It's a virtue, and virtues are to be practiced.
Amen.
And there's so little of it in the world. It seems to be an endangered species. I'll get off my soapbox in a second. There's nothing wrong and everything right with just being kind and being courteous. Not only is it just a virtue worth practicing as often as you can get away with, not only is the person on the other end of the line probably just like a student worker or just somebody that works at a library, but sometimes that extra kindness and stuff, I've submitted requests to universities and gotten stuff for free that's beyond what it says on the website I should have gotten.
Yeah.
And I blame acting like a little Mr. Rogers for those extra results, not that it's worth doing for that reason. It's just worth doing. But anyway, that's enough. You get the idea. Be nice.
Be neighborly.
The world is turned into a really rude, crappy place, and meanness is rewarded. So be the change you want to see in the world.
It's true, though.
Yep.
Okay. Why would you have file attachments of your own associated with the ticket? I can't quite fathom there.
I'm not really sure. It could be your own inventory of stuff. Again, this is a generic form, clearly.
For all sorts of situations, yeah.
Right.
So he's requesting the reproduction. Success.
Yeah. I'm guessing I'll probably get an email in a second. So there's two different kinds of system. We use the Atlas to Aeon path through the University of Arkansas. Yesterday in our little rehearsal, we did one from the Hoover Institution. There's no need to duplicate that. There's no need to use that, Fritz. Actually, we could.
Oh yeah,
because you can or not. It's up to you. But we did just use the Aeon system. The Hoover works the same way.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, it was the same.
And then we just did I was just saying, like, sometimes there's an online platform. It could either be this Aeon or Atlas thing, or it's just a form that you fill out online. We did both of those. The other ways are quite intuitive for your listeners. I mean, you have an email address and you send an email to them and you say, hey, I just want the contents of this one folder. I did this just a couple of weeks ago with Colgate University. The Shikshinny Knights apparently tried to recruit somebody that was on the Atomic Energy Commission.
Oh, hey.
Don't know that it was successful, but I did the whole Charles Pitchell special collections keyword search. And so then I just found that sometime, I found that. And so in that case, there was no online platform or even even a suggestion that you could get stuff remotely. Everything about research was like schedule your appointment. So I just reached out and said, "Hey, do you fulfill requests for remote researchers? I'm on the other side of the country." And they asked me, and I just sent them copied it off their finding aid that was on their webpage. It's this box, these three, for this folder, these documents. In that case, they had gone to the extra level of not only organizing them by box and folder, but also the names of the documents and what they referred to.
All right.
They went to that third, like every piece of paper in these archives is labeled as what it is. So instead of requesting folders, I'm requesting individual documents. There's like 5 or 6 of them. And it says, they said, all right, that'll be $6.50. Call this number and pay them. And so I did. And then they emailed it to me. All that kind of stuff's pretty intuitive. A lot of this stuff's really intuitive, you
And
know?
you don't have to be part of the institution. You don't have to be a student there. You don't have to be affiliated with anyone for the ones that I was looking at anyway. As Keith
Yeah.
said about himself, he's an amateur professional. I think I might steal that for my own my own purposes there. But you don't have to be in the country. You don't have to be a citizen of the country. You just send them the info.
Yeah. And be cool about it. Yeah, so then the other way is to show up in person. And so sometimes, like I found out another guy that was in the Shikshini Nights of Malta. It's one of my favorite topics. That guy's papers are 2 hours away in the state archives.
Okay.
So I think it was called a special collections. I think it was just called archive. So if you just try searching for special collections in that case, you might turn up empty, but I found it anyway. So I had made an appointment, said I want box 6, 9, 12, whatever, and they had them for me when I arrived at my appointment. And and I had the boxes there, and I just took the folders out, and that's always the best way because you have these boxes. They look a lot like what we saw from the Hoover Presidential Library a few minutes ago. And you want this folder and that folder out of that box. But if you're sitting there with the box, you can go, well, what else is in here? You pull out the other ones, and sometimes there's just little Easter eggs that you weren't even didn't know you needed, weren't looking for, but like, ooh, I need that.
That's the magic of archives. That's what makes it fun. I mean, it's really it's shocking the kind of stuff that people kept. You wonder why they didn't burn some of it.
And there's a lot of other things that you're not going to find in these. Like, here's my ledger for, my illegal opium and cocaine sales.
Yeah, sure. But you might see that dude's name in a correspondence somewhere,
Wasn't it super fun when we bombed that train last week, guys? Great job, every team.
Right.
It's not, you're not going to find stuff like that. A lot of stuff is more on the civilian side. But one more thing, the other way to do it, and this is more likely for most people, you're going to, if you have a large amount of materials you want to get, you're going to hit this diminishing returns where these guys are charging 25 cents or 50 cents per page sometimes to scan them for you. And if you're talking about 5 or 10 pages or even 50, maybe whatever, that's fine. If you're talking about hundreds, or dozens of folders or whatever,
that can fuck you up.
That's when you're going to want to try to get a freelance researcher. And me and my buddy Recluse, we had done this several times ourselves over the years. What's the right way to do that? We talk. I heard like put an ad on Craigslist in that town. Well, I don't know about that. It's you don't know what you're going to get with stuff like that. Yeah. But one way to do it, I did this in one case. I asked for the page order value stuff. We asked the staff at the library special collections, hey, do you probably have students that just are doing this as a side gig?
Yeah.
Do you know any of them? Can you pass my number and email address to somebody that does this kind of work on the side? And they're working there. They see the researchers that are coming in. And a lot of times it really is that they're just a student doing their work, and they're on the struggle bus, just being an undergrad. And if you pay them like $20 to $25 an hour, let's say, maybe, it's not bad, right? And just tell them, I want you to stand there and take pictures of this stuff and tell them what folders they are. that you want, right? I'm going to show you here if I can. Yeah. Stop the share. I'm going to share something else. This is from the Alfred Kohlberg collection. That was the China lobby man at the Hoover Institution. And, when this is what I would tell you to tell a freelancer.
So for listeners who are not watching the video right now, which you really should, we're looking at a shit ton of photographs taken by a researcher. You can see their fingers in some of the shots even. And yeah, it's a lot.
That's me, actually.
Oh, that's you.
So,
oh, okay.
Yeah. Because I went there in person for this. But okay, so if you stand there and you're requesting multiple boxes, or your freelancer is requesting multiple boxes on your behalf, you start by, when you go into a new box, take a photo of that box first.
Smart. Yeah.
It has the label of what box it is, and then you maybe take a picture of the folder tab, and then take a picture of all the documents in the folder. And then that way, if you take like 1,000 pictures a day, right? And where does box whatever end and the next box begin? Well, you have these photos of these boxes, they're bookends.
Great.
So that later on you can sort them into the proper folders, so that you, again, for the purposes of citation. So you see all these folders here. They originally was just a camera roll, reel of just like millions of photos.
Yeah.
But by taking that photo of the box at the beginning, that's where this box ends, or the next one begins, All
right.
So tell the freelancer to do this. That way you can know what is what. Anyway, you can ask the library staff, do you know somebody? One time I had them put up my contact information on like I sent them the text of like a flyer and said, well, you just print this up, put it on your little corkboard bulletin board thing. And then I started getting inquiries from freelancers, and I hired one, and you know what I mean? Told them what I wanted. And that's a great way to cover a lot of ground in a more economical fashion, because it comes out at a lot less than $0.25 a page. You're not scanning them, you're just taking photos of them.
Yeah, right.
And you can cover a lot more ground a lot more quickly that way. You could always take these image files and combine them later into a PDF.
True.
If you're cool.
Yeah, easy enough. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't really processed a lot of the stuff like that. But anyway, I think I kind of got through everything I wanted to say about it.
I think we got it. I guess one question that I have been thinking about is if there is a significant difference in your experience in working with state archives or national archives as opposed to private institutions or universities.
No, but that might just be because I'm not like, it's a hobby. It's a bad habit. It's not like a career, and I'm not doing it all the time. If I was well-traveled across all those different kinds of facilities, I might be able to point more closely to like the nuances or whatever. I will say this, one of the Gettysburg, I think it's either Gettysburg College or the MacArthur Memorial, one of those groups that holds the MacArthur papers. If you request something that's already been digitized and somebody else already had it scanned, they're just like, all right, well, we already have that as a PDF because, what's the guy's name? Caulfield. I'm looking at General Walker and the murder of President Kennedy. They won't tell you that guy, but some researcher already came and requested all of Charles Willoughby's correspondence with Allen Dulles leading up to the the JFK hit, because some of Willoughby's papers are at those archives. That's why.
So then you wouldn't have to wait like the 6 to 8 weeks that you would normally have to wait. They would just
or in some cases you don't have to even pay for it, because they're like, no, I already got that. Here you go. Just send it to you now, and then we'll work on the stuff that hasn't already been scanned. And that's not the only institution that had done that.
All right.
So right. That's where you can kind of get lucky sometimes, and you get the wind, a tailwind or whatever. You're like, oh, well, since you're sending me that stuff, I'll go deeper into my wish list and pay you the same amount of money and get these things for free and get more of what I wanted, Well,
all right. I mean, so listeners, you guys know how to do it now. I know how to do it now. And as you know, we move forward on this podcast together, I expect a lot of you are probably going to want to take advantage of this. And you know, both Keith and I would encourage you to do so, if not just for, you know, your own interests, not or even, you know, for sending stuff to the podcast, but just keeping this shit, you know, making sure that it's duplicated, that if stuff goes bad, you've got some, you know, and we can share those around.
You know who Dave Emery is?
Yeah.
Kind of a legend, you know, curmudgeon, always a big fan. You know, he starts out all of his shows with, you know, begging people to get this flash drive. It's got all of his life's work and materials on it. And you know, he has, of course, a dire pessimistic view as to where things are going. And he's been on that trip for about 50 years. And
yeah,
it holds up pretty good, actually, here in the year of our Lord 2025, actually. But, you know,
gotta say, he pegged the Bush family, right? Say that much.
Well, he says that, you know, that the past and how we got to where we are and, you know, where we're going and everything is worth preserving and it's worth remembering. I really agree with that really strongly. And
right on.
The way I put it, you know, in my little fortune cookie version, like the great American sin is remembering the past. Like there is a almost coercive need for people to forget the past or never to uncover it in the first place.
Well, you can't mythologize if you got all the data, you know.
Yes, and you can demystify a lot of things with that information. And anyway, to me, it's worth pursuing a remembrance of the past and uncovering hitherto unbeknownst to everyone aspects of the past. It's just a worthwhile avocation in its own right, almost like on a moral level or you know, patriotic or something. I don't know how the right way to say it, but
I doubt it's patriotic, but I got you. I would say maybe communitarian. It's fucking communist, Keith. It's communist.
Sure. Well, I don't know. You know, whatever the word is, it's worth doing.
Amen.
For its own sake.
Yeah, absolutely right. Listeners, that takes us to the challenge I promised you. And, you know, it can take 6 to 8 weeks to get folders from these institutions. So how about we say this? In about, let's say 3 months, I'm going to run a little contest for the best folder or folders that y'all have been able to retrieve from any of these systems or the systems that you might have found on your own. And tell you what, we're going to run it through a quorum of judges, including myself, Keith, and we'll figure out, you know, who else when it comes to it. But we're gonna pick the best folder, and I'm gonna go ahead and make an episode about your folders. And that's my promise. That's the state between us guarantee.
Well, it sounds great. I will participate.
Oh, well, you can't judge and compete. I mean,
well, no, I don't mean that. I mean,
I am bribable though.
Your panel of judges thing, I'll join in on that.
All right, fantastic. Let's do it. Oh my goodness, I just made a mess. All right, well, I guess that's the sign. So listen, listeners, thank you so much. This has been episode 0 of The State Between Us. I think it's a strong start. We're armed now to tread together through these uncharted waters and uncharted folders and boxes and containers, and we're gonna get somewhere weird with it. Definitely. All right, Keith, thanks a lot. And to all the listeners, stick around. Hope you enjoy the show.
Thanks, Fritz.
Thank you, Keith. Talk to you later.